All Things Black with Garland and Calvin present Fanboys. Fanboys is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Garland and Calvin. Fanboys.
All Things Black presents Fanboys.
Blacka, Fanboys.
I'm Calvin, and our biggest cheerleader right there is Garland. We're back for another week. We had a delay, and the podcast was delayed. I couldn't get it to roll through. I finally got it to roll, and so hopefully you got a chance to listen to it. We had some.
It's a good. Hopefully you went back twinning. Yeah, we was the whole escapades of Calvin trying to be like his big bro. I appreciate that though.
I should have just left it on the shelf like it was. This dude right here, man.
Yeah, man. God, I had to jump him first. You know how you do me, audience. You know how you do me, listening audience. So I had to go ahead and jump out first.
I wasn't even gonna say nothing, but it was anybody that was there saw that Garland was dressed like me and shit. So everybody that was there saw it.
I look up like he got on 11s like I got on 11s.
I was
the
good.
Same jacket on.
I was good with the 11s until you pulled out your Levi's.
Yeah, my jacket.
Insulated. Yeah, once you pulled out the jacket, I was like, I know this nigga ain't trying to be like me. You know what I mean? I even looked over at him and was like, how does it feel to be me? I had to hit him with the Eddie King Jr. How does it feel to be me? You ain't gonna get it because you ain't got it.
That was on the other morning at 5 a.m. Don't ask me why I was up at 5 a.m. But
that's one of my favorite movies, man. Top 3. I should have hit you with the I see what you're trying to do. Trying to dress like me. Sound like me. I should have hit you with that one.
Mm-hmm. Bro was out here stealing my whole show.
Hey man, what you got going on? You
bro,
all right?
Hey, listening audience. The other day, I'm working and I'm waiting to go to this open house, and I'm sitting outside, just waiting for my staff people to show up so we can get set up. And I see this like little kid walking up the block with his mom and his auntie, and I'm like, hold up. That look like the landlord. And lo and behold, everybody, it was the landlord. Like, oh snap. I'm like, hey, landlord. And they like, I was like, that's like, yeah, Mr. God. I'm like, yeah, the landlord. So you the reason why we can't get this podcast popping on some Saturdays. And then I just was like waving at them. They was like, let's take a picture because my father ain't going to believe it. But the landlord ain't want to take no picture with me. I was like, all right, Calvin, then he know I'm part of the podcast team. That's why he like, I try to mess up y'all Saturdays.
Yeah, the landlord he don't play, man.
But crazy, Calvin, he got across the street and down the street. All of a sudden I turn around, I hear something go, bye-bye. That's how you do. You down the street. Now you want to wave goodbye and say goodbye. But when I was up on you, we trying to take the picture. You all like I smell or something. Then I look up, he halfway down the block. Bye-bye.
That's what he did.
Yeah, so I ran into the landlord, y'all.
Yeah, man. Garland sent me some pictures. I was like, listen, that's because he don't like the paparazzi. He thought you was paparazzi. You see the video I posted where the camera cut and he hit the camera out the way. They don't play, man. Landlord don't play.
Was like, I'm not taking no pictures, no nothing.
He on his way over here now. His
okay.
Yeah, his mom has my car for a minute, so they on their way over here now. So he gonna go downstairs and tell me what's wrong with my house and everything. He got a little toy vacuum cleaner that he always come in and use.
He like to come on and clean up.
Yeah, man. He be like y'all little shit dirty and shit. You know what I mean? And he the landlord, so he like keep my shit clean.
Well, he ain't singing that Barney song while he doing it. Is it cleaner? Cleaner.
He actually listen. It's so wild. That's the only way I can get him to clean up his toys. If I start singing that song, then he starts.
Really? Oh wow!
Then he start. Yeah, because if I don't sing,
been programmed in him.
He just look at me and
You could
stuff.
look
Like I gotta shake him up and pick his toys up. He will
right.
not pick his toys up.
Like you gonna get that pop 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 pop.
Hey
Get
man, what
that.
we got going on today in the
Bro, man.
round?
The landlord. We're gonna talk about free agency, man. That's all that's ruling the planet right now. It's free agency. Some teams they made some big signings. Some teams made some signings, and they think that automatically is gonna put them in the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk about that and slow down. Slow down, Yenzers. We'll get to you in a minute. And Nick Saban, we already said he was tired of the shits the last time we talked, but he really tired of the shits.
Mhm.
That's why he in Congress talking about what he really mad about. And then we're gonna end with a little come on, yo. And so, hey man, last week, unless you was under a rock, it was free agency time, and the tampering period started a little early. And when we last broadcasted, the Ravens had placed Justin Madubuike on the franchise tag, but they worked something out before the official signing period. And so Madubuike, he gets a 4-year, $98 million deal, which includes 75.5 M's in guarantees and 53.5 M's at signing. So he's feeling pretty good today. And the biggest signing probably of the free agency, although they signed some other, smaller players and all, was former Titan running back Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million deal worth up to 20 M's, including 9 M's guaranteed in the first year. And so, Calvin, I know, well, before I get to that, let's do this. Let's talk about some of the departures as well. So the Ravens did lose several players during free agency. Probably the biggest was Patrick Queen, linebacker. He signed with the Steelers 3 years, 41 mil. Safety Geno Stone, he's gone to the Bengals for 2 years, 15 mil. Gus the Bus Edwards, he signs with the Chargers and reunites with Greg Roman out in not in San Diego, excuse me, out in Los Angeles with Jim Harbaugh. Offensive lineman Moses Morgan, he was traded to the Jets for a couple draft picks. And we also lost left guard John Simpson, who started last year in free agency to the Jets as well. The Jets is putting together a line to protect Aaron Maga Rogers. And this probably breaks Calvin's heart the most. Tyler Snoop Huntley. He signs with the Browns, and he's going to be the fourth quarterback on their roster. Don't know if he's guaranteed a spot on the roster, but he did sign with the Browns. And so no more Snoop. No more people saying, hey, if they start Snoop, they could probably win and all that dumb stuff that they were saying over the past several years. And so what impact do you think Henry's going to have on the offense? That because, we talked about this last week. We were saying, we would want some of the younger backs that were out there. We were thinking, that Henry was running on the rotors. We could see a little oil leaking from under the car. But then these young guys start getting snatched up for some good money. And all of a sudden, Derrick Henry looked real good. And so, what do you think the impact he's going to have on the offense?
Well, first, I think this is probably the biggest free agent signing that the Ravens have ever had. I'm trying to go back in my mind. Of course, there was Roquan Smith, but we didn't know Roquan Smith was the guy that he was going. We knew he was good, but we didn't know he was going to be the guy like he is now. But I would still say Derrick Henry is a bigger name than Roquan Smith. I'm trying to think back to the Steve Smiths. The Anquan Bolden was a big signing. The Derek Masons was a big signing, but I'm really trying to think if that's probably the biggest free agent signing that the Ravens have ever had. Michael McCrary back in the day was big signing at the time. Samari Rolle, if you remember from the Titans, but he was towards the end of his career. Well, Steve McNair was probably a big signing, and we thought he was
Rod Woodson. You said Rod Woodson, didn't you?
Rod Woodson. I didn't say Woodson. Woodson was the big signing, but I still think as far as
Shannon Sharp as well.
Shannon Sharp, as far as nationally recognized impact, I think Derrick Henry might be the biggest free agent signing that they've ever had. So one of the reasons why we were talking about the younger guys is because of that. They were younger, but it was also the money and the time that they would give Derrick Henry. We were thinking that he was going to command a 4 or 5 year deal and, and upwards of 10, 12 million a year when Josh Jacobs got 12 million a year. Some of the other guys, Derrick Henry got a real team friendly deal. I believe it's 8 million with the potential to make 9 or 10 million. 2-year deal at that. Like when you see something like that, you're just like, yeah. And then you put him in the backfield with Lamar. The offensive line needs to bulk up because we lost some people, but it's just the threat of Derrick Henry. I think this is a huge, huge signing for the Ravens, and it's possibly one that could take them over the top. What did we say in the game against the Chiefs? Run the ball. Run the ball. If they had a Derrick Henry back there, they're running that ball. You don't have a choice but to run the ball. I think it's a huge
Right.
sign. I gotta look. I like to make predictions. I gotta look and see how everything pans out the beginning of the season with the scheduling and all to make my predictions. But I would venture to say this puts the Ravens back up there with the Chiefs and possibly another at least championship appearance for the AFC.
All right. I would say too that I think, once I started to see some of these advanced metrics that, they pulled it out that, Henry, he was facing 8 9-man boxes last year, the highest percentage. The Titans really didn't have a passing game that you had to respect. And so he still got 1,000 yards
Mm-hmm.
running against heavy boxes. And so he's not going to run against real heavy boxes in Baltimore. You got Zay, you got Bateman, you got Lamar, you got Bateman. I mean, excuse me, Andrews, you got Likely. And so it's going
Got
to open
Aguilar back. Don't forget
Aguilar.
Aguilar.
I forgot about Aguilar as well. And so more than likely, you're going to have, you're not going to be facing 8 9-man boxes all the time. And so it might add a little bit more to the end of his career. The Ravens have a history of getting guys that have been in the league for several years. They kind of like need a fresh start. You kind of think it's over, and they come here and they have like a good 2 or 3 productive years, just like Shannon
Mm-hmm.
Sharp. He
Shannon
came
Sharp
here, had a
won a
couple
Super Bowl.
productive, won a Super Bowl, and as Rod Wilson. And so you get these guys who are kind of like they're coming towards the end, but they still got a little bit left. And so I think a 2-year deal is great. If it doesn't really work out, you can blow it up probably. I'm
Okay.
sure they got a lot of outs after this year. And I still think they need another back, though. I'm not thinking that Justice Hill, although Justice Hill is good, I like Justice Hill in a situational back type of situations that you can put him in.
Mhm.
He's a special teamer. That's why he's on the team. They're not going to get Mitchell back probably until well into the season. So Mitchell's probably going to start on the pup list. Would you like to see them add another linebacker, wide receiver? What are your thoughts on that? Because I think they're going to need at least one more back as a change of pace back.
Well, so without Keaton Mitchell being there, you definitely need another back. But then you still got JK that they may, because JK is going to be on another prove it deal, so they may bring JK back, which I wouldn't mind seeing. I would really like to see, and I know this is probably a far cry, even though I don't think he's signed yet. I would really like to get some more performance out of Dalvin Cook. Like he didn't play at all in the Kansas City game. He played in the Texans game and did well, but I would really like to see some Dalvin Cook back there. But they definitely need another receiver now. I thought the Chargers, they would be able to grab some Keenan Allen, but I think he's going somewhere else now. They've already announced that he's going somewhere else.
Right.
I also wanted Mike, what's his name from the Bucks, but he signed huge money
Mike
to
Evans.
stay with Mike Evans. He signed for huge money to stay with the Bucks. Of course, there was a rumor about Deebo Samuels, but I don't,
Yeah, I saw that too.
EDC kind of shut that one down. But
Right.
EDC did talk about, well, not EDC. If you notice, they did clear up a lot of cap room. Ronnie Stanley negotiated. So it's one of them things where they're trying to make a big signing somewhere, whether it's a trade and sign. They're trying to do something. I'm hoping it's a receiver. Of course, you got even Stephon Diggs is being a name out there that they may be trying to trade for.
Right.
But they definitely need another receiver. They need another big body receiver, another possession receiver, because Zay is just the speed. Of course, they're going to draft somebody, but they need somebody that could take that what they wanted Odell Beckham to be. You
Sure.
still don't know. You want Rashad Bateman to be number one, but you still don't know. I mean, we still jury's still out on him. So I think they should definitely sign another receiver. I don't know if they're going to sign another linebacker. They probably draft, because you got Trenton Simpson in there, and
Right.
we've talked about this offline. And we think Trenton Simpson is probably
Yeah.
going to be just as good, if not better, than what Patrick Queen was when
They're
it's
going to
all
give him
said
a
and done.
chance to show himself. And if he is not able to show himself in those camps, and trust me, they'll go out and get somebody
Mhm.
who, a veteran who will come in for the veteran minimum and stick them in there. They've done it every year. What was the guy that they had? He bounced between the Bengals and the Ravens for a couple years. As a matter of fact, he was on the Ravens Super Bowl team as a special teamer. Oh my God, I could see him. He used to have locks, and he played linebacker, and he bounced between teams. And the Ravens brought him back. I forget who they had playing linebacker. Well, they had Queen, and they needed somebody to play besides Queen, and they brought him back, and he did pretty well for them. And that's what the Ravens do. I mean, that's what we got with Clowney last year. That's what we got with Van Noy last year. They found those guys in July and signed them. As a matter of fact, Van Noy, they actually didn't sign Van Noy until after the start of the season. I don't think they signed Van Noy until September.
Yeah, he came in
Yeah,
during the
he
season.
came. As a matter of fact, he came in. They signed him before the Cleveland game. I
Right.
think that was the third game. And so, yeah, he did not sign until after the season started. And so, the Ravens have a history of doing that as well, and they may do that again. I think I would love to see J.K. back. I would like to see him on the show improve.
Mhm.
They might, draft another rookie and put him back there, but I like to see someone seasoned back there at least until, can hold the load until Mitchell comes back full strength. Offensive line, I think, is also a big need that they're going to have.
I think so. I think they're going to draft offensive linemen. The
Mm-hmm.
Ravens have a tendency. Rarely do you see them bring in offensive linemen
Right. They
unless it's
usually
just for
draft and
backup.
develop.
Yeah, they draft unless it's for backup purposes. Now, I wouldn't mind them taking some of this money and getting a stud edge rusher, somebody that's available, or
Sure.
trading for one. Because out of all the needs that we kind of fulfill, we've really never gotten that edge rusher. As soon as Suggs left, it was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
we still need that guy that can wreak havoc back there. And we've had guys that could do a little here, do a little there, but no one that could. Well, let me not say since Suggs, we actually let
Yeah,
what's his face go.
Dumerville.
Yeah, well, Dumerville, but we let
Well,
what's his
yeah, of
face go
course.
to New England
Yeah,
free agency. So, but we just need somebody that can just wreck shop there. You know what I mean? And we don't have it a lot of times. Too many times we've watched quarterbacks have too much time in the backfield. And even though the defense played well, we need somebody that can just come up with some double-digit sacks, or at
sure.
least get hurried. Of course, we got our guy up the middle, but we need somebody that can do it from the edge.
Yeah. Well, so you're not trusting Ojabo or Adafe
Can you?
yet?
Can you? I mean, Adafe, you can think he's going to be, he's going to do well, but can you trust the
Mm-hmm.
Jabo? Like, can you really
True,
trust him?
true. You don't
You
know
know,
what you're getting. Yeah, I'm with you.
exactly.
Maybe they bring Van Noy back on a late deal. We'll see. A lot of times, those veterans, they don't want to go through camp, and so he might not see a signing like that until like the last preseason game, and then just like they did with my man Justin Houston. They did that for like the last
Hmm.
2-3 years that he was with the Ravens. Every year they did not re-sign him until it was like late training camp and brought him back, and so you might see that again. Because I think Clowney's going to get a look. We'll see what happens before camp starts because he
I
had a
think
good year here.
Clowney. I thought Clowney was going with
He,
um
he
the Panthers.
visited the Panthers, but I haven't seen anything official that he signed with them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, going to the Panthers. I mean, do you want to win a bowl or a Super Bowl? Do you want a ring or do you just want to check? Because if you go into the Panthers, you go into the wrong place for a ring and for some playoff money. I think he's too late in his career to be going to losers.
Hey, keep rolling. We keep
Mm-hmm.
going. I gotta. I
Yeah.
don't know why my PC isn't plugged up, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. And so, which loss do you think hurt the most for us in free agency signings? Um, I think as you kind of already touched on it in terms of Patrick Queen and the loss there, and but they drafted uh, Trenton Simpson. I think what really happens a lot of times is we like players and they've been here. I mean, PQ's been here and he's had an up and down career. I think his last 2 seasons with the team, really with Roquan coming in at mid-season last year and then this past season, I think he played well because he got to roam. He got to do a couple different things instead of being your Mike linebacker, which Roquan handled very well. And so I think you draft players to develop the players and to play them. And they definitely drafted Simpson to play that role, and bringing him in. We saw him flash in the last game against the Steelers, but that game wasn't nothing for us for the Ravens. And although the Steelers had first team players out there because they were playing for a playoff spot, we did get to see some of his role, and he also contributed on special teams as well. And so this young man's going to get a chance. Also, they re-signed Malik Harrison. We'll see if Malik Harrison gets a chance. He's been on the team for several years. I think he was drafted with Patrick Queen, and so they brought him back on a 1-year deal. And so we'll see what happens with him if he gets that opportunity to come back and play. Also, I think losing the lineman, again, this is another situation. This is why you draft and you develop your lineman. Ben Cleveland, he's been on the team for 2 straight years. They've been playing them in different roles. You still have Patrick McCurry. He may plug into that guard position. They drafted someone last year, Andrew Voorhees, out of USC. He was very good, but he got basically, which was a redshirt year because he was drafted. I think he tore his ACL in the last USC game of that season. So they drafted him knowing that they were going to give him a redshirt year, just like they did Ojabo the year that they drafted him, because he tore his Achilles in one of the combines or one of the pro days at Michigan. I think it was that he tore his Achilles. And so, you got to get them out there and you got to see. I think that, if it does not look good, I've been looking at some things that say this is probably one of the best drafts for offensive linemen. And so there's a thought that, within these several rounds that the Ravens can find or draft another starting offensive lineman. And so it's going to be important because we know that the team's success is around the health of Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson is not healthy, the team doesn't move. And so it's important that they keep him upright. We saw that last year. Did not take a lot of sacks, did not take a lot of hits. They were not running him as much as they did in the past. A healthy Lamar plays the whole season. Too much money invested into having a porous offensive line that you're going to put Lamar at will of rushing linemen. And so hopefully, I'm sure the Ravens have a plan and they'll be able to draft well. I think it's sentimental that we see Snoop move on. There's always this upcry for the backup to come in the play, especially if the starter is struggling. And I think one of the things we forgot about Snoop is Snoop, even though he got those opportunities to start over those past 2 seasons before last year, where Lamar got hurt and did not complete the season, he didn't have a winning record and he had more interceptions than touchdowns. And then you got to remember that crucial playoff game in Cincinnati. We're down there on the 2-yard line trying to go in to score, and Snoop tried to jump over and fumble that ball. And so Snoop was nice in the preseason. It was good to see him in the preseason, but they did re-sign Josh Johnson. I don't know if they might even go out and get another quarterback and re-sign him, and so or sign him as a free agent as well. And so we'll see what happens. They may bring back I forget the quarterback's name that started the Pittsburgh game one of the years that Lamar was out. No, actually got hurt, and then Lamar, and then they brought in the quarterback. I think he had played out west. I forget what college he had went to, but they brought him in and he won that game. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now let's talk about some other. No, I can't hear you. Keep on talking. So yeah, we had some other major signings that happened in the NFL over the week as well. Kirk Cousins, as you see on, if you're on YouTube, I'm Kirk Cousins' agent. Kirk Cousins, he signed and got a big guaranteed deal with the Falcons. As a matter of fact, the Falcons, after signing him, they made a couple trades, upgraded at wide receiver, signed some people, and they're looking to run away with the NFC South. Saquon Barkley, he stayed within his division. He goes from the Giants to the Eagles. He got a big deal. A lot of people saying that he got some good money, and that's possibly why the Ravens probably did not throw down that money. And I think the running back market, I know there was a lot of concern last season that running backs were not getting fair market value, and there was talk about, the running backs maybe making their own union or something. They were going to get together and do some type of protest about this. But there were a glut of running backs on that were in free agency, and a lot of them got great deals. DeAndre Swift, he got a great deal with the Bears. He goes there to Chicago. Tony Pollard, he's heading to Tennessee to replace Derrick Henry with the Titans. They have a new offensive coordinator. He's going to be there with the new quarterback that they just drafted. And then this came across the wire over the weekend. Our man, Hollywood Brown, or Pennsylvania Avenue Brown, as we used to call him here in Baltimore, Hollywood Brown, he signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so everybody believes that Hollywood is going to go to the Chiefs and turn into the second coming of Jerry Rice and every great receiver who's ever played the game. Now, I've always said, and I think a lot of times we said this here in Baltimore, I wonder how Hollywood Brown would do in a great passing offense. Now, he went out to Arizona. He played with his college quarterback and little man, Kyler Murray. And he had a good first season. Last season, he was injured a lot, did not play the full season. He missed a lot of games. He did well in that first season, had a good amount of catches and everything. But he's going to be in the offense with, the Jordan of the NFL. And so, And so we want to see how Hollywood. So what you think about that, Calvin? Your boy Hollywood Brown has signed a 1-year deal with the Chiefs.
Yeah, man. So I think so. You remember I said that I thought they would trade Rashad Bateman to the Chiefs. I thought that he would be a Chief this year. I think Hollywood Brown is actually going to do well. When you pair a receiver with some hands with a Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes is one that can make all average receivers look great. Now, it didn't work out so well with Juju. If you remember, Juju went there and we thought Juju would take him over the top. But Juju did well. But I think somebody like Hollywood Brown that can go deep, that can be a possession receiver, he's going to do well. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't catch for over 1,000 yards, which of course he did in Baltimore. But I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, especially with the decline in Travis Kelce.
Right.
I think he's going to do well with that 1-year deal.
What do you think about Cousins signing with the Falcons?
So, and I don't know if you may have said this, but they turned down Lamar Jackson because they didn't want to pay him.
I thought about that last year. They didn't want to pay him last year. They said, hey, we did the homework. We decided we didn't want Lamar. But they went out and they just gave all this guaranteed money to a guy that's only won one playoff game in his career.
Kirk Cousins needs to go to all the rookie symposiums and talk about how to get them for their money, because Kirk Cousins is a book a guide to how to get your money in the NFL, because he stayed getting big contracts.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's not bad for Atlanta. They need a veteran presence in there.
They do.
You need somebody that can take that talent and actually get them the ball. Granted, it really wasn't the quarterback; it was more the coach. But you need somebody there that can get these guys the ball. And if Kirk Cousins can't do nothing else, he can get them the ball. He can get the ball to the receivers.
Arthur Smith's offense was a run-heavy, play-action pass offense, and maybe that wasn't a great fit for the personnel that they had there. But yeah, just think if they did that with Lamar last year, maybe they might make the playoffs with those weapons that they had there last year. I mean, Lamar was turning chicken salad. I mean, making chicken shit out of chicken salad. I mean, turning, you know what I'm saying? And so it was like they could have done that last year, but I think they knew, and every team knew, that Baltimore was going to match whatever anybody put up. And so that's why I think that scared a lot of teams off. I don't know. Oh, they could have put a poison pill in there. They could have. I don't care. Baltimore would have cut 10 people. They would have made all the necessary cuts that they needed to do in order to keep Lamar. There was no way they were going to let Lamar walk, and all those teams knew that. That's why they did not. No one made a serious offer for Lamar, and so hey, it was to our benefit, and he came back in and had an MVP season. Saquon going to the Eagles. Any thoughts?
I mean, so the thought that I have is on Tiki Barber and the rest of these Giants fans talking about you should not have gone there, this and that, you're dead to me and all that. Man, fuck y'all. Like we talked about this offline. Patrick Queen going to the Steelers, and that's a us thing. That's a fans thing. Saquon and them don't care about that. They care about who's going to pay me the money, who's going to give me what I want, and who's going to give me the best chance to win. And going to Philly is the best chance to win. Although he could have gone to Dallas, he may have had a good chance to win there.
Sure. And it's crazy because even PQ had to get on Twitter the other yesterday and talk about STFU. And, it's like, he talking about he's going to be the villain and everything. He had to go get his money. And, Baltimore probably, if they wanted to, they could have matched that. That's not big money that he got. And, people have to move on. This is just a game. No, I didn't want to see him in the division. No, I don't want to see him in the black and gold in Pittsburgh. I wish he would have went out of division, but such is life. A lot of people stayed in division. Geno Stone is going to be in division. You got a lot of players who will stay, in division. And so that's what happens. This is a business. And so I wish him the best up there. And they rock up there. But speaking
wait, I don't wish him the best. Now listen, let me back up.
I mean, the best not against the Ravens.
Yeah, I don't mind him going.
As the famous line from The Godfather, as long as your business doesn't interfere with my business, we should be okay. Yes, that's what the Don Corleone told him. Was like, look, we're good as long as your business don't interfere with my business. And so now speaking about the Steelers, they still suck, but they signed Russell Wilson. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about this the last podcast. There was some good landing spots for him, and one of the spots we did say was Pittsburgh, and he's there on a 1-year deal. And then the quarterback that they had there, Kenny Pickett, which was their first round draft pick last season for 2023. He wasn't pleased with that. He didn't really want to sit behind Wilson. He felt that, he could have a chance somewhere else. And so they traded him to the Eagles. But then, lo and behold, I look up on Twitter on yesterday, and they go out and they get Justin Fields from the Bears for what amounts to a conditional 6th-round pick that could go as high as to the 4th pick if he plays at least 50% of the team snaps this season. And so does this make the Steelers Black America's team? That's the first question. We got a black head coach. We got a black. Now, this is not their first black starting quarterback. They had Joe Gilliam. They had
Cordell. They had
Cordell
Stewart. Yeah.
Cordell Stewart. I'm trying to think that they have Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward.
Not Charlie Ward. What's the other guy?
Batch.
Charlie Batch.
Charlie Batch.
Charlie Batch. Excuse me. They had Charlie Batch.
they had the young boy that died. He wasn't a starter, but he was the backup. The young boy that
Yeah,
got
yeah,
killed
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
accident.
That he was drafted by the
Yeah,
Skins. We're
yeah,
within the Skins.
yeah. They
Yeah, so
had
they had
him.
him. But yeah, does this make you got a black head coach, two black quarterbacks? Does this make
Nah,
this Black America's team now?
nah. I mean, the Steelers have always had blacks like that. That's one thing. The Steelers. I mean, shit. It's called the Rooney
Steelers,
Rule. It's called the
yeah.
Rooney Rule. Like the Steelers. They don't shy away from black
Mm-mm.
people in their organization.
Yeah.
But nah, I mean, you
Yeah,
know.
I think we could say the Steelers was one of the first NFL teams. They were already doing this in the AFL. Um, they were one of the first NFL teams that started drafting heavily in the HBCUs. Uh,
Okay.
Mean Joe Green, Joe Gilliam, a couple of those other players, Mel Blount, all of those players are HBCU players that they drafted in the early 70s. You didn't have a lot of NFL teams. As a matter of fact, for I've been doing some reading, and they were saying that for a lot of black fans of football back in the late 60s, early 70s, they were big AFL fans because the AFL was drafting players from the HBCUs. And then as the leagues merged and you start looking at different talent, Pittsburgh, they had a talent scout who, as a matter of fact, I think his name was Bill Nunn. His son played Radio Raheem, and
I was about
yeah,
I was about to say Bill Nunn of the Radio Raheem fame.
he's yes, Bill Nunn Senior was a scout for the Steelers, and he was a newspaper reporter as well for
Okay.
the Pittsburgh Courier. And as a matter of fact, I saw something online of Bill Nunn Jr. telling the story of him taking Terry Bradshaw's car and all this other stuff when he was a kid at camp. But yeah, they were one of the first ones in on the HBCU players. And so, what do you think? I've been hearing this commentary that everybody's ready to put the Steelers in the Super Bowl, or everybody's ready to give them to the division. They're forgetting that everyone had a winning record in this division, and the only reason probably the Bengals didn't make the playoffs was because Burrow got hurt. And so, does this put the Steelers at the top of the division?
So let me make sure I understand this. So we're putting the Steelers at the top of the division because they picked up Russell Wilson and a
Who
backup
they said was
quarterback.
washed, and the backup quarterback
And
who
the
they said
backup
was
quarterback.
washed. Right.
And Patrick Queen. But they
Yes.
lost Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
So this is what we're saying that. So I think
and they hired Arthur Smith as the O coordinator. So yeah, this is supposed to make them overnight better.
This is supposed to okay. So what I will say is, if we remember, the Steelers made the wild card last year, so they definitely made it last year.
Right.
And thanks to Baltimore to give up the last game and let them do it. You're welcome.
Right.
You're welcome, Pitts. So I think they're still going to be the same team. Like, I'm not discounting how good they are and they can be under Tomlin. And then I do think Russell's going to make them better. And I think that God, I forgot his name already. I think that what's his name from the Bears is pretty good.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. I think Fields is good. I think he's good. I had him winning the division last year, his division last year. So I think it's going to make them better. I was not a believer in Kenny Pickett and not in Mason and any of them other Trubisky, none of them. So they definitely needed to upgrade the quarterback room, which they have done. But it doesn't put them over the top. They still have to get by the Ravens, which in the past 3 or 4 years hasn't been a problem for them head to head, but it's been a problem for them record wise to get by the Ravens. They still got to get by the Bengals, and then the Browns are formidable. Also, the Browns just added another receiver. What's his name to go along with? Who did they just add? The Browns just picked up another receiver.
Gerard Judy.
Jerry Judy. They just picked up, and Jerry Judy's a good player. So you still got to get by the Browns. So I think it makes them better, but it doesn't take them to the Super Bowl. It doesn't take them to the AFC North winners at all. So chill, Pittsburgh. Chill out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Slow down. I mean, let's not. they're always going to be in the mix because Mike Tomlin's the coach. He
Mm-hmm.
gets the most out of. He's gotten the most out of that team over the last several years. They have not
And
been great.
JJ Watt
Yeah,
does it.
J.J. Watt.
TJ Watt. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
TJ
T.J.
Watt.
Watt. T.J. Watt. They have a great defense. They have great
Mm-hmm.
players. They're always in the mix.
Always.
But let's not forget, we were just saying that Russell Wilson was washed for the last 2 years. We just said pretty much people were saying the reason why they were only able to get a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields is because people they see the tape. Yeah, he might have some upside, but he doesn't have as much upside as a couple other players who have signed for bigger deals or for higher draft choices. And so um, there was not an overall big demand for a guy who started the last 2 years in Chicago. And so that says a lot. And so we'll see. That's why they play the games on the field. That's why they play the games. And so we'll see what happens once they get on the field. And so as long as their business doesn't interfere with our business, we're good. Also, just want to mention that Aaron Donald retired. And so a lot going on in football. One of the greatest linemen to ever play the game was just a terror, was drafted by the St. Louis Rams and then was with the team when they moved to back to LA. And so he retires with the Super Bowl ring, a lot of records. And so best wishes to Aaron Donald.
Hall of Famer, first ballot,
Oh, of
easily.
course. Definitely. Is there a doubt?
Maybe.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. I hope there's no doubt. Nick Saban. Nick Saban, we had already talked about last week. He said in an interview that, he mainly retired from coaching because of NIL and the players that just basically coming in and wanting the money and everything. And then he went to Congress the other day and basically said the same thing, that he's endorsing the idea of sharing revenue directly with college football players. And this was something that the basketball coach Rick Pitino has said up in St. John's about sharing revenue as well. And so he's talking about the idea of sharing revenue directly with college football players and other NCAA athletes when speaking with a panel that included U.S. senators that were focused on NIL issues in D.C. And so he said, you could create a better quality of life for student athletes. You can still emphasize development. You can still create brand and athletic development with a system like that, and it would be equal at all institutions. And you couldn't raise more money at one school to create a competitive advantage at another. And so he's pushing this idea, but he basically was just, I guess, pooping on the players that basically that's all the players want when they're coming in to talk to him, that how much you going to pay me. And if you can't pay me what I want, I'm going to go ahead and get in the portal. And, a lot of people have come out the saying that, it's it was so great when you just had all the control. You control where the player could go. You can control what they could do. And now that the players have a little bit of control, now these coaches are up in arms. And so what did you think about, what Saban had to say to Congress?
Yeah, it's one of these rare situations where everybody's right. Nick Saban is right. These kids are coming in and they're placing their value on something before anything even happens. And of course, they're giving the ultimatum, I'll jump in the portal. So yeah, Nick Saban's right. But then people that are talking against him are right too, because you never heard this kind of talk when he was in complete control, when Dabo Swinney was in complete control, Rick Pitino was in complete control. You never heard that talk. So everybody's right. The thing is, it's just like anything else that's new, that's introduced in sports. It's going to take some tweaking. I'm all for the players having being able to dictate where they go, being able to earn some money off of their name and likeness outside of just the NCAA being able to do it. But you also look at it like, wow, this portal is really, after a year or two, and it's not just, you would think that when the portal was introduced, it's just players that may have sat on the bench and been like, I need to go somewhere where I can start. It's not. It's starters. It's guys that make an impact. are jumping in the portal and going to different teams. So there's going to have to be some tweaking done to it, because you definitely, the reason that it's amateur sports is because you don't want the players having that type of control where they can just go from one place to another, and you never know what's going to happen. There has to be a separation between the professional and the amateur. So there's going to have to be some tweaking done. So Nick Saban is right in that instance also. So again, everybody's right, but you're going to have to put some restrictions either on the portal, the type of money, but something has to be done to make this still considered an amateur sport. So because if it's going to be a professional sport, why even have the NCAA? Why even have it? Or just make it like a minor league in football or a minor league in basketball. The G League is about to probably go away because there's really no need for it right now.
I just hope the whole system collapses, because actually this is the fault of the colleges, the college presidents, and the NCAA. They should have been done this years ago. They knew they were trying to push it off and not pay the athletes and let these schools get fat off of this TV money, off of this endorsement money for decades. And now that the tide is turning and these students are organizing, these athletes are organizing, and this money has to be given to them, they're just, a lot of this old guard and these other people. I'm glad it's bedlam. I'm glad it's uncontrollable. I'm glad that it's destroying the game, because they really could have protected the game, but they were so greedy, they decided not to. And it's coming back to bite them. The chickens are coming home to roost on, what is going on in college sports today. And until they just decide, look, we've got to pay them this NIL stuff. As long as they're dealing in NIL, it's still going to be a crazy transfer portal. You're still going to have players basically holding college coaches for ransom, for hostage, to get the best deals. If they just go ahead and pay the players, make a decision. These are our top conference. I think Patino and what Saban has laid out. These are our top conferences. This is the money scale in these top conferences. These are our mid-level conferences. This is the money scale in the mid-level conferences. These are our lower level conferences. And this is the money scale for that. And just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. And that will work. Revenue, money-making sports, they get the money. I'm sorry, badminton. I'm sorry, track and field. I'm sorry, field hockey. All those things, those are great. But football, basketball are the money makers, and those should have the money accordingly.
Don't sleep on track and field, though. Those track and field athletes make pretty decent money outside of the NCAA.
Outside of running meets when they're running in Europe and other places.
Good money. How about Rick Pitino? Just real quick on Rick Pitino. This guy, he proved all of us wrong, because Rick Pitino went and called out every last one of his players, and we were all like, "Hey, this ain't the olden days. You can't do that shit anymore. I'll be surprised if they even play another game for you." They asses went out and won like the next 3 games.
Right. Like, and played well in the Big East tournament. I think they lost in the quarters. Yeah.
Rick Pitino was like, "Hey, I know what I'm doing." My bad, Rick.
Hey, man. He better win them games, all that money they paying him. So now we've come to the part of the show that everybody loves. Come on, yo. And so, Calvin, I'll pass it to you. Come on, yo.
Yeah, man. So I'm stray away from some sports and come on, yo. Okay. The biggest thing has been going on in these past few weeks is Love is Blind season 6. And if you ain't watched it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You got to watch Love is Blind season 6. Well, you got to start from the beginning and watch them all, because it's actually just a really good show. And just briefly, if you don't know the concept, it is people are dating. It's just like any other dating show. Young people are dating, but it's called Love is Blind because they're actually in pods and there's walls separating them and they can't see one another, but they have to be attracted just by their voice and the things that they
Oh,
say, the
I can
answers
say,
to
is
the
this
questions.
glory hole or something? Are you sticking something through these holes? That's that's stuff used to happen down the block. But anyway, go ahead, man. I don't know. They used to tell me. I ain't never experienced myself, but I just heard.
So this is
Go ahead,
not
yo.
called Love is a Glory Hole. It's called Love is Blind. Love is Blind.
Mm,
So they got to talk and they date different people that way, and then they figure out who they want to be with, and they actually propose to them in the meeting. They go away for a little while, preparing to get married. So the end result is they're supposed to be married and go to the aisle and see who says yes and who says no. All right, so you got the basic concept down. I'm gonna have to spoil this for you real quick because in season 6 there was
mhm.
only one couple that actually got married, and they were probably the most boring couple on there. But the other exciting couples didn't get married, and one particular is AD and Clay. AD is a black woman and Clay is a young black man, and AD has all the talk she looks good, her body looks good.
Mm-hmm.
She's everything that you would think a young man like Clay would want. And Clay is a young man, successful, and he's everything that you think a young woman would want, and they clearly wanted each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now we start getting to the serious part. Throughout the whole time that they were actually together, after they had met and seen each other and they were living together, throughout the whole time, you could see Clay was having doubts, but his doubts of marrying her were just because of his own insecurities. It comes out that he had a lot of parental issues, and it's his father. So I'm going to give a quick come on, yo, to Clay's dad. Clay's dad and mother were married for 25 years and they got separated. And it came out on the show that Clay, his father, was taking him with him to cheat on his mother. And
Ooh,
that really, really fucked Clay up. And when
right.
you hear some of his talking and his reasoning for saying no at the altar, because he did say no at the altar to AD, which crushed her and crushed America,
Mm-hmm.
it's really because of the trauma that his dad set in. He watched his parents married 25 years, but he saw how his dad was cheating on his mom. Even in the show, his mom goes to the dad and was like, I found out some things that I didn't even know. So, parents, fathers, role models, come on, yo, you got to watch how you're raising these children. Children retain, and if you don't think it fucks them up, it fucks them up. And this is, I don't know what, somebody could write a paper on it or something. I mean, Clay has everything. He can dress, he's a good looking young man, he has businesses, everything that a woman would want. But he could not commit to this woman who gave herself fully to him because how he was traumatized in his past, and now he's having doubts of his own. Can I be the man I'm supposed to be? I don't want to let you down. I don't know if I can be there for you like you're being there for me. All the doubts in the world, and it's because of his father. His father fucked him up real bad. So the Clay's dad, come on, yo. Come on, yo. You hurt your son. You hurt him
Wow.
bad. And America's looking at him side eye because of that. Now, we're sympathetic because everybody likes Clay, but come on, y'all. Take care of your families. Take care of your kids. Your
Right.
kids don't need to see everything. Stop putting them in these positions. So come on, yo. Come on, Clay's dad, whatever his name was.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, man.
Clay's dad was actually a track star also. That
Mhm.
came out that he was a big time track star, and with Clay was an athlete. So again, everything in front of him, everything in front of him, but just can't
Mhm.
commit to this woman that fully gave
Mhm.
herself to him. Like if you, I don't know if you watch it, but if you
I'm
see
gonna
it,
have
you
to
would be
watch it.
like, oh
I'm gonna
my
have to watch
gosh.
it. I'm
You
gonna
can
have to
even start
watch it.
from season 6. So that's where it is, the last
Okay.
season.
All right. All right. I'll start there because yeah, that's correct. Just the other day was talking about legacy and the legacies that we pass on to the generations after us. So, a
Hmm.
lot of times the legacy we receive, some of it's good and some of it's bad. A lot of times we kind of blot out the bad legacy we receive. Like, okay, we got great work ethic from our parents or those people before us, but then, there's some bad legacy, like maybe there was infidelity in the family, or abuse or different things like that, or just not taking care of family,
Right.
being there for family, and we fail to recognize how that legacy also impacts us as well. It's not only the good things we're willing to talk about, but it's also some of those difficult things that sometimes we have suppressed that our legacy that impact us as well. And so,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's interesting. Oh man, I said all that. I didn't forget my come on, yo.
It happens
Oh
when
my
you
god.
old.
It
Come on.
happens when you old, when
Come on,
you
yo, to
old.
your mind, Joe, because that happens when we old.
Right.
Come on, yo.
Come on, yo. Come on, yo. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson having a fight. What is this? What is this? Oh my god. They're supposed to have this fight in July at the Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, and I still can't figure out why Mike Tyson, a man that won 50 of his 58 professional fights, 44 of them by knockout, is going to fight a internet champion. Jake Paul is like that Martin episode when he was the CBC, the charity boxing champ, and he fought Tommy Hearns. Sugar said, I heard from Sugar. He said, "You the good hit man. You're not the hit man. You the good hit man."
The get hit man.
I don't want to fight no more, Gina. That's the funniest episode of Martin. And so Jake Paul, who's a YouTube fighter, and he has a 91 record beating up people like Nate Robinson and other people who are not. Is Mike Tyson that bro? I thought Mike Tyson had some weed money because I thought he was into the marijuana dispensary business and stuff. Maybe the money's not good. Now, this is a tale about Don King. Maybe that really need to be to come on, yo, because if you get with Don King, you're gonna end up broke. Just about every boxer who ever had Don King as their manager wind up in later years having to race horses, come back out of retirement and fight at 75, all of those things. And I guess we're seeing Mike Tyson, he's got to prostitute himself, and it's going to be live on Netflix. And so this is going to be a live Netflix sporting event. I think this is going to be their first sporting event that's going to be live. They did the live Chris Rock concert, and so they're trying to get into the live venues. But come on, yo, let's stop this. Let's just stop. Mike, don't do this to yourself, Mike. I mean, it's bad enough that they made a movie last year with some guy. Did you see the Mike Tyson movie last year? The guy that Trayvon Rhodes played him.
Oh
I think it
no, I
was
didn't see that
the
one.
F.
I didn't see that.
Bro. It was horrible. When you get a chance to look at it, and so come on, Mike. They didn't already slash you up in the Hulu FX movies and all that stuff, and we all know about Robin Givens and all those things. Mike, don't do this stuff. Don't do this to yourself. I mean, you have a legacy as a heavyweight champion. I mean, you had your run, and I actually remember watching the Buster Douglas fight and you losing and everything. Never thought that Mike Tyson would lose a fight, but Mike, don't do this to yourself, Mike. Don't do this to yourself. Just say no, Mike. Say no. But yeah, come on, yo. We gotta stop this. We gotta stop this. Bringing back our greats to do dumb shit.
I'm concerned with Mike for two reasons. I'm concerned for Mike. Now first let me say, for anyone that doesn't know, if we have any younger viewers, younger listeners, Mike Tyson, just like Michael Jordan, you just had to be there. Like,
Yes.
You can compare Jordan to LeBron and everybody else, but you literally just had to be there. With Mike Tyson event was it was like the biggest event of the week at that point, and you just literally had to be there for a Mike Tyson fight. He looked invincible, like unstoppable, like just to this day, when anybody asks me who's the greatest boxer ever, you can have Muhammad Ali, who I will not discount, but Mike Tyson was absolutely the most feared boxer to ever walk in the ring, and he looked invincible. But I'm concerned with Mike for two reasons. Number one reason, I'm really concerned that Don King is whispering in his ear and making this man take a fall. I'm just hoping he's not going to take a fall against this Jake Paul. I'm concerned with him for a second reason. We can talk about Jake Paul being an internet guy and all this and that. He has 10 fights under his belt, which means he's been training a little, and he's half Mike's age. And Mike can punch. It's just going to take Jake Paul just one good punch on this old man, and he falls out. And that concerns me, man. That concerns me.
I don't even know if he gets to touch Mike Tyson. I'm just
saying, don't discount the money that Jake Paul has and the training that he can get with that money with fights already under his belt. Just don't discount that. That's all I'm saying. All right. I'm not saying he's going to win, but it just concerns me that he could possibly catch Mike, because Mike is slower now. He looked fast in that training, but he's not the Mike back. He's not the Mike back in 89, 90, 91. He ain't that Mike anymore.
Right,
he ain't that Mike anymore. That's all I'm saying.
All right. All right.
Of course, I'm Team Mike. Fuck Jake Paul.
Yeah,
I'm Team Mike. Yeah. But I'm just concerned, and I think I'm even more concerned that Don King is going to have this man take a dive. You know,
I hope not.
Yeah,
I hope not.
I hope not either. So. But anyway, man. Hey, sorry that I had some technical difficulties.
Happens, man. Happens to the best of us.
Garland was able to roll through, so that's a good thing. But we are back, so I will put this up. So this will hopefully not sit on the shelf for a week or two. This will go through within the next day or two. I'm going to do it tonight, and we will be back again. So if you are watching this, you'll see us live on YouTube. You can get us on all the podcast platforms. I'm not sure if Spotify is still showing our beautiful faces again. That didn't show it the last time. Things been changing. So, but definitely join us again. Tell your friends to listen to the podcast, rate us, review us, all the good stuff, and
all that good stuff.
Join it to help us get this thing off the ground. We've been trying to for a few years, so we're gonna have to take a few more steps, but help us get this thing off the ground. Hey, man, anything you want to say to the peoples?
Hey, y'all have a great week. Be well, stay safe, and be concerned about your legacy. Take care of your legacy.
like Mike Tyson and Clay's dad.
Right. There's like F legacy.
Hey, man, let me hit this outro for the peoples. Definitely thank you for joining us, and make sure you join us.
You have been listening to Fanboys, an all
Keep
things
listening.
black with Garland and Calvin production. Thank you for listening, and make sure to rate and review this episode on all of your podcast platforms.